you a woman in medicine feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from the personal fulfillment that you desire? You're in the right place. Join doctors Joanne and Aaron as they rewrite the rules for women in medicine. Let's begin.
Welcome back to this episode of Create Meaning in Medicine. And I'm so excited to talk to my co-host, Dr. Joanne Sotelo, because she has such a great way of introducing things that get us to think a little differently. And today's topic is about the power of questions. And I find this so fascinating, Joanne, because as women physicians, we're not always taught to question ourselves. And sometimes we can get stuck. And so I can't wait to hear how you go into the power of questions. And I'd like to understand to you, what does that mean, the power of questions?
Erin, I love questions, which it sounds funny as a statement. And as a physician, if you think of different specialties, we have blood work, imaging, procedures. And as psychiatrists, we have questions. I say that questions are like my scalpel. That's how I go in. And my keen curiosity to know more, understand more, get to know you better so I can help you, right? So it's always been important to me because if I don't ask good questions, I cannot really help my people as a psychiatrist. And then, of course, in coaching, it's very similar. There's a little bit more of a challenge. Maybe I'm not as directive in terms of the number of questions, but I'm always asking questions as a way to guide and challenge and motivate, whatever it is that we need to in that coaching session. So again, it's near and dear to my heart. And so it is for a lot of other people. And the way we ask questions, right? Like that's super important when we have little kids or in relationships. And like you said, Erin, even to the questions that we ask to ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that you and I have learned as coaches is that asking yourself or someone a question is very different than telling someone something. And when you put it in a question, it gets the mind wanting to solve that question. And so and I think we treat it differently when it's posed in a question, because we might be going like, you're telling me what to do? Don't tell me what to do. Like, I'm smart. I'm competent. I don't want somebody telling me what to do. But in a question format, sometimes I think we accept it differently. What are your thoughts on that, Joanne?
Yes, our mind needs direction. Our brain is like a middle schooler and it needs direction. And when we ask it as a question, it's forced to find an answer. And as a statement, it's good for us to believe that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our questions. And this is a statement that you hear in personal development a lot. But then again, it's how we help each other, how we also direct ourselves. And we can think about it in two different ways. And again, this is something that is spoken a lot in this world of personal growth, of if you have empowering questions or disempowering questions. I'm just putting a label to make it kind of black and white. So we either ask ourselves good questions or we ask ourselves not so good questions, right? So an example, this is kind of silly, but I don't know, if you drop your coffee in the morning, a lot of times, what are some of the words that we say like, oh, why am I so dumb? And actually, when we give ourselves a question that has a negative connotation, it's almost like we're telling our brain we are dumb. Because if we believe the opposite, we wouldn't be posting that question. So again, that's a little bit of a tangent or if you say, oh, this will never work out. That's a disempowering question. That's a question that doesn't help you if you're feeling stressed out, overwhelmed, versus asking yourself, is there a way I can figure this out? So you can see the same situation, just a little tweak in the questions. And we can think of so many examples. I'll give you some other examples as well. But that's again, like to put it out as a statement.
And I love that. And I think of spilling coffee on myself in the morning. I've done that plenty of times. And I think an empowering question that I might come up with is, what is this trying to tell me? And I think if I'm racing out the door, I'm not paying attention to the details, I'm kind of bumbling around. I remember being so tired, I'd run into walls, even when I was carrying my kids, and just thinking like, had I asked myself, what is this trying to tell me? And I would have said, oh, maybe you need some more sleep and you wouldn't get this outcome. And so, as opposed to, yeah, geez, Aaron, you're so clumsy. Why are you so clumsy? And our subconscious brain, I like to remind people of this. Our subconscious brain, when you tell it something, it believes you. So when you say, why am I so dumb? Your subconscious brain is gonna believe that and find all the ways to prove to you, why are you so dumb, as opposed to something more kind and loving that we could ask ourselves.
Yes, and that's why I like to think of our brain kind of like as a middle schooler, because will we be saying that to a middle schooler? It's so like awful.
That would
So
be
it's another.
bullying.
Yes.
If we said
And
that to our
that
middle schoolers.
and we've talked about the power of language as well. What are the words that we use to talk to ourselves about ourselves? So it's the same concept here of the questions that we ask, not just to know more, to have that keen curiosity, but then also to guide our brain. As women physicians, we are so busy. We deal with guilt and expectations and the emotional and physical exhaustion. So our questions can guide us, can help us either drain our mental and emotional energy even more, or it can help us get curious and stay open, right? It's not necessarily that it's going to go and be super calm and happy, but if we have that awareness, we'll make better decisions. And sometimes we just get that awareness from asking better questions.
I love that. And you had mentioned a little bit about the specific needs for women physicians. And I wonder, what are some of the other reasons why the power of questions is so important for women physicians?
And we were talking right before we started recording in terms of some of the experiences that we've had recently with the women physicians that we coach, and how sad, like it breaks my heart that people might see us as intelligent and hardworking and busy. Yet there is so much that we're dealing with in terms of our beliefs and our confidence and our worth. And when we ask better questions, it'll help with that sense of our beliefs about ourselves. It can also help us with that self compassion that we talk so much about. Just tweaking the question of, like I was saying earlier, of there's no way I can do this, to I wonder if there are ways I can do this. Or is there someone I can ask for help? Just that. It's a beautiful example of self-compassion. And it can also boost our confidence and the ripple effect it creates for other women around us, as well as our families, our patients. So many benefits to this, because we will be in a more positive mindset, in more awareness, with that curiosity, openness, so many positive benefits from having that switch in the questions that we're asking ourselves.
I love that, Joanne. So we talked a little bit about what good questions can be and what they can mean, why they're so important for women physicians. And I wonder, Joanne, what is it that we can do to use the power of questions, or to get more out of the questions that we ask, to get better results?
So, talking about beliefs, I am going to share some of the beliefs that I hear a lot from the women physicians that I coach. And these are women who are extremely successful. They have their families. If you take a snapshot of their lives, you would not believe some of the limiting beliefs. And we all have them. We all have beliefs and these repetitive thoughts that we have about ourselves that don't serve us. So think about it for yourself. What are some of those thoughts that you have so often that you believe? So one that I hear a lot is, I have to do it all. And I can raise my hand for that one. Another one, I can't say no. I can raise my hand there too, right? We talked about boundaries.
Oh, me too. I'm right there with you, sister.
I'll tell you another very common one. If I'm not perfect, I'm failing. Yikes. That one hurt me and I wrote it down. So, and then these are some alternatives. So instead of having those beliefs, we can reframe them as questions. For example, what if success doesn't mean doing it all, but doing what matters the most? Or what's one thing I can let go of if it's not serving me? And those are long questions, right? And these are just examples. And, but I just want to give you some options just to allow yourself to pause and really think about it and give yourself a question that actually can open up to other possibilities.
I'm gonna throw a little monkey wrench in here for you, Joanne. We both spend time coaching women in medicine. I know one of the trends that I see is this lack of energy. And when people are so exhausted, what's something that you can say to encourage our listener who might be exhausted and go like, "Oh, sure, I'm going to ask these questions," because the path that we've always taken with these limiting beliefs or these disempowering questions, because we've taken that path so many times, it's hard. It takes energy to shift. So I wonder, we're always talking about, or often talking about, lowering the bar. How can we decrease the barriers for a woman in medicine that's simply really exhausted, but is intrigued by this power of questions that you're sharing with her? How might she be able to say, like, what's one tiny little step in order to say, oh, this may be worth it?
Thank you for asking that question, because I talk a lot about that. Because I say we have tools for when we're feeling well, like what I just talked about. And then we need tools, I call them the back pocket tools, that we need to grab when we're not feeling great. And yes, when we're exhausted, when we're overwhelmed, when we're mad, cranky, the last thing we want to do is like, what's that coaching thing that you were talking about? So I'll tell you one that I like. And it's so simple, but yet very powerful. I'll just ask myself this question. Is there a better question right now? Literally. I just told myself, is there a better way for me to approach this? Is there an easier, nicer way for me to talk to myself? I don't know if that's correct English, but you get it.
Oh, that is, I'm right. I'm vigorously writing this down. Is there a better way? Is there a better question? Is there a better fill in the blank? That is gold right there. I love that, Joanne, because it's so easy. And can we just practice that? Is there a better fill in the blank than what I'm trying right now?
You do need to find that mini pause. And what I say is, like you were saying earlier, Erin, our brain is going to do its brain thing. And those paths are so traveled that it's not uncommon for our brain to give us that negative thought. And it's so normal for us. We don't even question it. And my challenge is for you to use that as a red flag. Whenever you say something negative to yourself, or you have some negative belief that you can have the awareness is getting in your way, use that discomfort as the pause and then say, man, that was not nice. Is there a better way? Would I say this to my best friend? That's another really good question. And they don't require any deep thought or coaching or affirmation. So thank you for bringing that up, Erin, because that's where I go to, even after my million years of coaching and what I do as a psychiatrist and all that I teach, when I'm not feeling well, I don't have these beautiful affirmations. I just tell myself, man, that was mean. Can you say something nicer?
So powerful. So powerful. And as we've talked about the power of questions and how they can really mean the difference of empowerment or disempowerment, they can really start chipping away at our limiting beliefs. And it can be as simple as taking a mini pause and asking yourself, is there a better way to do this? Gold right there. And then, is there anything additional that you'd like our listener to walk away with about the power of questions?
I'll say, because I can go on and on giving you examples and how to reframe. And that's a beautiful work that we do in coaching. Actually, this last week, we talked about confidence, and we've been doing this confidence series in my weekly coaching. And I had really good feedback afterwards from a few of them saying that was a great call. And again, I'm always surprised of all the good work that comes from confidence. And we do a lot of that, of really paying attention to what comes up and trying to reframe it. So if I keep on going on and on, I would just help you reframe. And that's a really good thing to do that you can do by yourself. Again, this is maybe for when you're feeling a little bit better. And how many times are we going to talk about journaling? Write some of these things down and really ask yourself, is there a different way I can think of this? And write down whatever comes up. It does not need to be beautiful. It doesn't need to go on a Hallmark card. It's just a tiny bit better, and it'll give you so much benefit. So that, I just want to leave it there as a statement, because that's the work. It just takes a lot of practice, but so powerful. Again, the questions that we ask ourselves will define the way we live. And that's a way to direct our brain into the best action that really benefits us.
I love that. And the taking action to get better results is one of the biggest pieces behind coaching. With that, we hope you will stay tuned for our next episode. We're going to be continuing along the line about limiting beliefs, and one of my favorite limiting beliefs to dive into, scarcity mindset. We'll go deeper into that. So we hope you stay tuned to our next episode. And don't forget, if you would like to see our podcast, Create Meaning in Medicine, in front of more listeners, would you do us a favor? Go to the show, scroll down where you see those stars, give us a rating, and we would also love for you to leave us a review if you listen on Apple Podcast, as that gives us some input on what you like or maybe what you'd like to see changed. We'll see you in the next episode.
Do you want exclusive resources and the opportunity to connect with us? Then visit createmeaninginmedicine.com now, where you'll dive deeper into how you can create meaning in medicine. And if you're serious about optimizing your results, take 2 quick steps now. Connect with us on the website and tune in to the next episode.